What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new video where we will talk about Jurgen Klopp officially suing Manchester City and the journalist who published in the Times newspaper after the Liverpool-Man City game that Jurgen Klopp could have been xenophobic with his comments, but he didn't refer to the religion or to the ethnicity of any of the state-owned football clubs. He just said that there are free clubs in the world who can spend what they want, they have no limits because they are owned by countries. He didn't talk about whether they were from this country or that country, so it's absolutely ludicrous. And do you see what Man City are doing? They are shifting the conversation from the actual problem, which is that Man City fans chanted murderers and other very offensive chants. Instead, they shift the conversation to Jurgen Klopp and whether he's xenophobic or not. Of course he isn't. And today the newspapers are full of it that Jurgen Klopp is defending himself, saying he's not xenophobic, and this is the topic of the conversation and not the actual problem itself, which is that Manchester City is ruining football and the Premier League, and they are spending incredible amounts of money sports washing the image of their owners, the United Arab Emirates. And I wonder, why don't journalists ask Man City themselves for an official statement, or Pep Guardiola himself for an official statement, whether he really thinks Jurgen Klopp is xenophobic? Because I bet Man City don't directly come out and say those things. Pep Guardiola don't directly come out and say those things, because then they could be sued into oblivion as well. But what Jurgen Klopp is doing is he is suing the Times and the journalist who made the claim. And by the way, 1 hour after that article was published, the xenophobic part was removed, which is very telling. And basically there will be a public record of this, and in the courts they will, say that Jurgen Klopp said nothing that is xenophobic. But Man City's tactics are very rotten to the core, very dirty, because they are shifting this narrative to a brand new cycle in the media. Basically, Jurgen Klopp makes a perfectly valid comment about the especially the state-run clubs, which are, have unlimited spending, basically, Newcastle, Paris Saint-Germain and Man City. Man City then briefed the media about xenophobia accusations that are reported without question, and this is my biggest problem, and this is why this is a biggest disgrace, that journalists who are briefed by Manchester City, who are basically paid by Manchester City, come out and post these articles, and they don't even ask the Man City media officers why they are getting briefed this. And then Jurgen Klopp is asked about xenophobia in his press conferences, and then the headlines are Jurgen Klopp insists he isn't a xenophobe. Then these headlines and these media articles can be now reported. And now everyone is only talking about Jurgen Klopp and whether he is a xenophobe or not, and not the actual problem, which is that Man City and their owners are sports washing their image. And we should talk about that and not this nonsense. We should talk about the Man City fans chanting dirty things. And that's why on my channel I'm using my platform to amplify this and to talk about this. And also it's very important to note that many clubs in the Premier League are owned by Arab or Muslim, owners, or Muslim countries that the owners are from, and Jurgen Klopp has never said a thing about them. For example, Aston Villa, Sheffield United, and other clubs. And also, Liverpool have and had many Muslim and Arab players like Mo Salah, like Sadio Mane, like Naby Keita. The problem is that only 3 clubs have unlimited spending, and those are coincidentally owned by Arab or Muslim countries. But this is not about the ethnicity, it is not about the country that owns the football clubs, it's about the actual problem, is that these clubs having unlimited spending and basically following no rules whatsoever and breaking the rules, then getting away with it because they have have unlimited amount of money and they can sue even UEFA into oblivion. That's the actual problem. And this is a classic deflection tactic in the media, and I'm really angry about this, and Man City exactly know what they are doing, and it's a very shady, very dirty tactic. And they also try to defame Jurgen Klopp himself. They try to smear dirt on Jurgen Klopp's name, who is one of the best managers in world football and who is also a role model for many people. And yes, sometimes he's hot-headed during games, but he's passionate, and a lot of managers lose their heads during games. But the accusations towards Jurgen Klopp are pretty disgraceful and unfounded, and I'm really sad to see that Jurgen Klopp now has to basically defend himself. And the actual journalist who posted that article, which implied that Jurgen Klopp's comments were xenophobic, his name is Paul Hurst, and he's working for the Times newspaper, and Jurgen Klopp is suing him for defamation, and I think he should get a big fine and never write for a newspaper again, because he's clearly in the pockets, in the back pockets of Manchester City. And I think a lot more football fans should have a problem with the Premier League allowing states to own football clubs. The Premier League is allowing whole countries to own football clubs, and those countries are not exactly have the great human rights records. These are despotic regimes, not too sure how to pronounce it, but I think the day when the Premier League allowed these states to own football clubs in the Premier League was a massive day where I think it started going downhill for the football world. And Jurgen Klopp said that the accusations against him are categorically untrue. He said, "I know myself and you cannot hit me with something which is miles away from my personality. If I was, I cannot remember the word, xenophobic like this, I would hate it. I would hate myself for being like this. I've said a lot of times things that were a little bit open for misunderstanding. I know that it was not intentionally, just sometimes you say things and you think, oh my God, it can be interpreted like this, but this is not one of those moments. That is the life of people who speak in public. It is not the first time I am misunderstood. I know what I thought when I said it. If someone misunderstands that or wants to misunderstand that, I cannot change that." That's the problem, that nobody thought that Jurgen Klopp's that what Jurgen Klopp said were xenophobic, except Manchester City, who are trying to shift the narrative, and it has been working for them, sadly. And that's why I'm trying to shift the narrative back towards the owners of Manchester City and what a huge problem they are in English football, and also the Man City fans, the ones who chanted murderers and all kinds of other really upsetting things. They should be found through CCTV footage and they should be banned from Premier League stadiums. Jurgen Klopp said, "Do I have to be careful? I have known for years that I'm not always careful. I realize as well from time to time that I just answer and say what I think. I try to do that in the future as well, because usually it is never my aim to blame anybody or whatever. I just talk about things that I think are not that important in life. Actually, I say what I know about it, how I judge it or how I see it. I cannot change that. Nothing of the things that were made of it were my intentions." So yeah, Jurgen Klopp basically said that he categorically rejects and denies these claims, and I think no other football fan really, apart from maybe Man City fans or Man City like media people, thought those comments were xenophobic, because he didn't even mention the country or the countries that own these football clubs. He didn't even mention the people that own these football clubs. So it's absolutely a ridiculous claim. And also Jurgen Klopp confirmed in his press conference the devastating news that Diogo Jota will be out until after the World Cup. He's injured. He has a really serious calf injury and he started the season injured. He was out injured for like 2 months. He comes back, plays a few games, and then gets injured again. That's desperately unlucky for Liverpool and Diogo Jota. And Jota himself posted on his social media that he's devastated because a dream dies with that injury, which is for him to represent his country, Portugal, at the Qatar World Cup. So Jota will be a big miss. And now that Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota are both out injured until the World Cup, Liverpool still have quite a lot of games, like 6 or 7 games to go until that, maybe 7 or 8, including the Champions League and the League Cup. So maybe Darwin Núñez will play on the left wing and Firmino will play up front with Salah on the right. I'm not sure what kind of other formations Liverpool will think about. Carvalho and Harvey Elliott will play quite a lot of minutes. They can play on the wing as well. And Jurgen Klopp is very impressed by Darwin Núñez. He said that, I like his impact. He's a machine. He's physically incredibly strong. And Darwin Núñez has 11 games. He has 5 goal contributions, which is a goal or an assist every 100 minutes, which is pretty decent for a new striker who has been a little bit struggling to adapt to Liverpool's playing style. He gets there and training gets better, Jurgen Klopp said. Every day you can see how he settles more and more. He's in the team now mind-wise 100%. He's really arrived completely. But of course he wants to score more goals and set up more goals. And maybe Darwin Núñez needs to a little bit relax in front of goal and be more cool and calm and collected when it comes to taking his chances. And I think the comparisons with Erling Haaland didn't help Darwin Núñez at all, because Haaland is a lot further in his development than Haaland is a lot further than Darwin Núñez in his development. And also Núñez still has brilliant instinctive ability to occupy the right spaces, to be at the right place, in the right place at the right time, and also to make great runs. It's just that his teammates, the Liverpool players, need to learn what kind of runs Darwin Núñez makes, where he loves to get the ball, and how Liverpool can get the best out of Darwin Núñez. Also, of course, his finishing hasn't been the greatest. He is underscoring his XG at the moment, but once that improves, and I'm sure he does, it will, because he actually overscored his XG at Benfica by like 8 or 9 goals, which is pretty impressive. So usually strikers over a long period of time will improve if they underscore their XG at the start of the season. And I think Salah will start scoring a lot more goals as well. You could see how big chances, how Salah got into really big chances against Manchester City. And I'm just reading the Liverpool subreddit on Reddit, and I just realized, why is this not in mainstream media? Why is this not in the mainstream news? Maybe the Hillsborough families don't want the Hillsborough stuff to get dragged back up into the media, but 3 people who were Hillsborough survivors, who survived the tragedy at the 1989 FA Cup semi-final at Hillsborough Stadium. 3 of those survivors went to the Champions League final in Paris, and they were almost crushed in the same way. And after the game, they committed suicide. And why isn't this more in mainstream media? I'm not sure. And yeah, those scenes at Paris near the stadium were very triggering to a lot of Hillsborough survivors, I can imagine, because there were a lot of similarities to how problems in the crowd happened. And the biggest problem, as Neil Atkinson brilliantly puts, he works for the Anfield Rep, which is a Liverpool fan channel and fan website, is that what the chanting, the Man City chanting, the Hillsborough chanting does is it places deeply vulnerable people who had big trauma because of Hillsborough, and it puts them back into the trauma when they were innocently trying to watch a football game, trying to take their mind off everyday life and just be entertained. And that's why we love watching football. It entertains us, it draws us in, and it lets us switch our minds off from our everyday problems. And they have to open the box that is the trauma of Hillsborough when they hear these chants and the ugly chants and ugly songs that the Man City fans sang. And instead of watching the game, you are back dealing with trauma. That's really not should not happen. And those people who sing these kind of songs need to be better educated, because they probably think, oh, it's just football banter, I'm riling up some Scousers, riling up some Liverpool fans. But instead you are opening the deep and healing scars, and you are hurting them in a very deep level. And maybe some Man City fans want to hurt Scousers, want to hurt Liverpool fans in that way. But I'm sure that there are a lot of football fans and a lot of Man City fans who are not sociopaths like that, and who don't want to intentionally hurt Liverpool fans. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I felt that this topic needs to be talked about, so I did, and hopefully you guys found some enjoyment in listening and watching. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, see you later, goodbye.